All right, so this is my third or fourth one of these. We're doing Shimmer. Shimmer's the vocalist for De Benedetta, and she also has an adult contemporary album, some dance stuff, incredibly wicked country album, with a bunch of stuff. She's also the main vocal engineer here in the studio, and I haven't done one of her songs yet, so I'm going to do one of hers. And I'm also going to do something a little bit different this time. I am going to let the song play out first, and then go back and talk about it.
I won't let the world tell me I am nothing. Build myself up, be as strong as my team. No one can tell me who I need to be. I still have all my integrity. You locked me up, threw away the key, but I won't let you have the best of me. There's so much left to see. I'm gonna carve my own sun in the sky. Just let it shine, shine, shine. I'll say what I'm gonna say, be what I've always dreamed. Because I like my dreams. Life is a canvas, let's make a masterpiece. A masterpiece. I'm a work in progress, but my colors can be seen. Because I like my dreams. Life is a canvas, let's make a masterpiece. A masterpiece. I've learned to appreciate my body, all of the flaws that were tormenting me. Now I can see the beauty of the skies. No more melancholy. I'm gonna carve my own sun in the sky. Just let it shine, shine, shine. I'll say what I'm gonna say, be what I've always dreamed. Because I like my dreams. Life is a canvas, let's make a masterpiece. A masterpiece. I'm a work in progress, but my colors can be seen. Because I like my dreams. Life is a canvas, let's make a masterpiece. A masterpiece. This portrait I'm painting, it can't be mistaken for anything else but true me. I drew all the lines and it's time to revive all the colors in my scenery. You can follow the gold, it won't always lead home. I'll say what I'm gonna say, be what I've always dreamed. Because I like my dreams. Life is a canvas, let's make a masterpiece. A masterpiece. I'm a work in progress, but my colors can be seen. Because I like my dreams. Life is a canvas, let's make a masterpiece. A masterpiece. I'll say what I'm gonna say, be what I've always dreamed. Because I like my dreams. Life is a canvas, let's make a masterpiece. A masterpiece. I'm a work in progress, but my colors can be seen. Because I like my dreams. Life is a canvas, let's make a masterpiece. A masterpiece.
All right, so it doesn't really have an ending yet. It's funny because I'm pretty sure I mixed that off. So I just noticed something that I had in my cymbals and overheads. This is an artifact of an earlier preset where I had compression on them. So we build a master preset. I think what the heck do we call it? I can't remember. I don't know, initial song startup thing. And that has all of our tracks laid out. So we have a bunch of guitars. This is back when I only had 3 or whatever of these things. So all of your guitars would appear on the first 3, and then you'd hit bank a bunch of times. I wish they'd fix that. And then your vocals would appear, and then drums, and then all of your keyboards and weird stuff like that. Which I know it seems like odd. A lot of a lot of studio guys start with the drums because they're like. So here's why we do that. So normally in a live situation, you know exactly how many channels you're going to have for the drums because you set it up in advance of the band coming. So you get your kick, your snare again, your hats, your toms, your overheads, and then possibly a ride or a spare mic or something like that. So you know you're using like 8 or 9 channels on that. And then we usually stick a bass guitar and then a bass DI. And then we do guitars, which we kind of leave open because you never know how many guitar channels you're going to need. And then we have keyboards, and then we do vocals after that because you never know how many people are going to sing. So the more random it gets, the higher up the board it goes. In the studio, I almost inevitably start with a guitar or a keyboard part. So when I built the presets, it was like, here's a guitar, and then I made like duplicates of it, so it filled up the channels just for banking purposes. And then here's keyboards, which are all together, and then drums and whatever. So, on these presets, it starts off with guitars and stuff, and then the guitars are usually preloaded. So in this case, and I'll have to check this as we're playing it later. All of the cymbals and stuff like that had. It was like there was a compressor on the old Cubase channel that I don't use those compressors anymore. In fact, I haven't really used compression on brass at all. All right, so this song we're in the middle of doing a deal with Sony right now, and Shimmer has a bunch of adult contemporary, we call it, which I don't like the name adult contemporary because it just, I don't know, Billie Eilish isn't really adult contemporary. Just because it's a girl singing with a piano doesn't make it contemporary. Frank Mills is adult contemporary. Anyway, so adult contemporary. So she has a whole pile of piano songs, we call them. And they're not necessarily piano, it's just they're crafted on the piano. And then, like this one was written on the piano. Actually, I think it still has the piano in it. And we write around that. So, and then her voice. This song started off with, it was the dumbest song. She had played a piano part, or I had played a piano part, and we don't jam, we just record. We come in the studio, sit down, figure out a tempo that we are feeling, hit the tempo and just start playing. So one of us had recorded something, and then I added a bunch of really stupid crap over it. Like I've got a battery drum beat here, and then I don't know what the heck this thing was. It was terrible. Another battery. Also, yeah, kicks will be on the top, and then hats and snares and whatever will be on the bottom. And Shimmer worked on it, I don't know, like a couple hours. And I had kind of written a melody line for it, and I suck at writing melody lines. So she worked on it with my melody line, and then she just came to me and was like, this sucks. I hate this song. And I'm like, okay, tell you what, let's turn off all the stupid crap that I put in there, and you write a melody line, like, with... Oh, and I had lyrics, too. You don't want me writing lyrics. They're way too complicated. So I left her alone in the studio for a couple hours, and she came up with this over top of just the piano. And then I'm like, okay, now I got something that I can work with. I kind of hear where you're going. And what I wanted to do was an instrument that I'd never used in a song before was a harp. And I thought, oh, that'd be kind of cool. It's just kind of got a, I don't know, it's sort of a happy... Oh, the song's in major, too. So it's a kind of a happy song. And the reason this is the first time I've done this as well, but the reason we wrote this song in a major key is because most of her piano stuff's in a minor, and it's kind of, not sad and dreary, but they're slower songs, and they mean a lot more. And we tend to write songs that mean something to somebody. I don't know. I don't generally have anything to do with lyrics. So Sony's like, we love these songs. They picked 3 that they loved off of the original that they figure are hits, and they said, send us some stuff now that is faster that we can get onto the radio right away. So we spent a week and we wrote 3 or 4 faster tunes, And that, like, we actually started with a faster tempo. This one's at 128, so it's not like incredibly faster, but it's better than 90. So they love these, and so we'll see what comes of it. With COVID and stuff like that, nobody's really doing anything. Record companies make their money off of merch right now. The only way to sell merch really is through tours, and there's no tours. So, whatever. But in the meantime, we getting organized to shoot some video, get some videos for the songs, and we're going to set up the EPK and all of that other stuff that goes with it. And we are working with a company in the States for sync deals that it's a new company, but an old school guy. But they don't do retitling. They sign a 2-year contract for the publishing. They split the publishing with you on the songs they get placed. It's non-exclusive, so if we get something placed independently on Netflix or another independent sync deal, whatever, then we get the money on that. I know that if it's non-exclusive, but they still that means we can place it with other people. But if we place it on a Netflix, they're still going to get a cut on the placement. So, but the most important thing that you'll ever learn about sync deals and publishing, and this is a long topic and it should be researched by every musician who picks up an instrument. The most important thing you need to know is do not sign publishing deals with anybody who does a retitling, because right now you control your publishing. If you named, like, this one's called Masterpiece, and if you sign a deal that allows them to retitle it, they'll call it The Masterpiece, and then they control the publishing, so they decide whether it goes in a Nike commercial or if it's going to go in the next Marvel movie, which I'm in the middle of rewatching, so that's why that came up. So you don't want a retitling thing, and I know there's lawyers in the States that are working on trying to get that fixed. There's going to be a lot of things that happen in the record industry in the next 2 years, I think, that are going to change everything back to the way it was. Mostly it's the streaming services. Instead of paying the streaming to the publishing companies, the streaming services, like, say, for example, iTunes or whatever, when you play something on iTunes for sale, the sale goes to the record company, the streams go to the publishing company. They're going to fix that so the streams go to the record company as well. The publishing just gets radio play, not streaming play. That's not right. And then musicians will have a lobby then, because record companies, for the most part, right now can be ignored. But if we get the rights back to the record companies for all of the money for all the streaming, then the record companies can't be ignored, because the record companies can say, yeah, no, Spotify, you can't have any of our artists. If Universal Music said, yeah, you're not streaming any of our artists, it would be like a week before Spotify would close down. It would go back to being like SoundClick, where it's independent artists just trying to get their name out there. All right, so elements of this song. So like I said, I started off with a bunch of crap. She fixed it. So we have a main vocal, and wow, this even got a vocal rider in it. I wonder why I did that. Interesting. Main vocal. There is a track that we have here. I'll expand this a little bit. So back in the day, we used to put a delay on a vocal line or something like that. If you like old Backstreet Boys and stuff like that, you'll hear a word, and then quietly the word will play back like in an AM radio sound. I actually take the main line, duplicate it, move it a quarter beat over, and then, or whatever I want, and then chop up so I get the words I want in the exact spot I want. I don't have to, rely on the DDL, and then I actually add an echo to those. So when you're running the vocal track back, and again, this is going to go through the Isotope plugin, so it's probably going to be saturated, but...
I won't let the world tell me I am nothing. Build myself up, be as strong as my teeth. No one can tell me who I need to be.
So you can hear the answers, and they're quiet in the background, which is, again, I'm a very subtle mixer, and that's how we do that effect. And then as we get into the song, we have a bunch of backups and stuff like that. Here, I'm just going to solo out the entire... Oh, they're not in a folder. They aren't either. Huh. That's not normal. Usually I have everything in folders. I guess this is because I had that crappy version and everything in the crappy version was in one folder, so I could chop it up and move it back into place. All right, so here is just the vocals.
Just let it shine, shine, shine.
So these ones here are hard pan.
I'll say what I'm gonna say, be what I've always dreamed. Because I like my dream. Life is a canvas, let's make a masterpiece. A masterpiece, let's make a masterpiece. I'm a work in progress, but my colors can be seen. The colors are like my dream. Life is a canvas, let's make a masterpiece. A masterpiece, a masterpiece. I've learned to appreciate.
So, my masterpiece lines are center. My favorite part of this entire song is the red, gold, and green, kind of it's an homage to Culture Club. Boy George is an insanely cool artist, and we are huge proponents of the LGBTQ stuff. I've got some of my closest friends are gay, and we really were like when we had the lines, like the masterpiece thing kind of gives you that whole Lady Gaga kind of a callback kind of a thing, which is very cool because pretty much Pink and Lady Gaga and Seal and Lyle Lovett are of the most amazing artists on the planet today. So having that as like an homage or a callback to an artist like that has done so much for the LGBT community and for independent artists, like singers that are just coming up. She's amazing. So, that's really cool. The red, gold, and green callback to Culture Club is very, very cool. And the song is really about redefining yourself or recreating yourself, and it's something that a lot of young people are struggling with. At 50, I'm not really struggling with that. I'm struggling with food, but oh, see, here's like an old vocal of the original, whatever the hell we wrote. It's this song. It has live drums in it, so it's real drums. I have a real stand-up bass in this one. And there's some guitar stuff. That's neat. That's pretty buried. What does that sound like? Oh, that's the Martin. Wow, that's boring. Here's a shot. Yeah, so that's I just bought a Martin. I did a show for United Way, and one of the artists had this incredible guitar, and she plugged it into the board, and I turned it on, and it was like, oh my god, that sounds phenomenal. I complimented the hell out of her, and then at the end of the session, I found out that it was a rental. So one of my friends from the music store was also in the video shoot for the United Way thing that we were streaming, and I just said, grab that guitar, the serial number on that one, and when it comes back from its rental, send it over to the studio because I want that guitar. And sure enough, 4 or 5 days later, he called and said, yep, the guitar's on its way. And now I own a $1,700 Martin with the Fishman pickup in it with the goofy little tuner thing. It's in the hole. I'm not a huge fan of the tuner thing, but it's kind of nice having a mute button right by your thumb. You just poke it in the hole. I don't know how that looks live, but I don't play live, so whatever. All right, so the other stuff about this song is there is what is this?
Masterpiece, a masterpiece. His portrait I'm painting.
So a Juno pad kind of a thing in there. And there's a Fairlight in here for sure. I can't find it. There's strings. It would be pizzicato strings more than likely. The piano. What is the piano? I have it written down as a unicordia, but I don't know if I used the unicordia. Oh yeah, I did. Totally did. So here's an interesting thing, and I'm going to end this video pretty quick too because it's been a while. piano sounds. So in pop, typically and historically, we use for brighter piano sounds, we use like a Bossendorfer. For classical, we would generally go with a Steinway D or something similar to that. The Yamaha, what is it, like the CFM or something? I can't remember what the big Yamaha grand piano is. That's also a digital version. We have the plugin of that one. It was like $300 or something. But we also have the Alicia Keys plugin, which is pretty much the exact same sound, except it doesn't have all the noise. For some reason, they recorded with the Yamaha one. So if you're doing, I do a bunch of classical stuff with a guy named Gautam, and if you're doing classical stuff, then using the Yamaha is fine because you get the noise. It's kind of cool. But on this kind of stuff, I don't want noise. Forget it. And then you got some really, really cool ones. We have, and we have most of them. The Unicordia is a really neat piano. It's single strings. One of my favorite ones is the Giant. The Giant is this, and this is I think a lot of people are using this now. It's just this ridiculously massive piano. I don't even know if it's a real piano or something, but it's a very, very cool piano sound without having all of the without sounding like a Steinway kind of a thing, because most of the time I do Steinway. So for this stuff, I use odd piano sounds, and then on her piano album, I stick with the Steinway or the Alicia's Keys, or the actual real Yamaha sound, depending on the song. Everything has to serve the song. All right, and this one also has a cello in it that I recorded, and that's going to get replaced. Jesse Liscombe has a friend who's an unbelievable cello player. Oh my god, I saw the videos. This guy is, man, he is so good. So anyway, I'm gonna replace all this with him. Just Jesse, and I forgot to get the number from Jesse. So you can see, like, that was unexpected. You can see that it's played nicely, blah blah blah, but you're missing all of the legato and stuff like that when you actually play a real cello. And what else? Those are the rendered out ones. This massive track is more than likely my Fairlight. I just have the wrong name on it. And these will be all pianos, I think, or whatever. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. I haven't done one of Shimmer, so other than De Benedetta. So, this is a really cool little tune. This is our first in the series of major songs in a major key. And the first time I've actually wrote a country song for to demo a guy, just to show him how quickly we can come up with a country song. It was called Rock Is My Roots, and it's actually going to go on Shimmer's country album. But we did that as a demo for a guy who runs a company called Royalty Records in town here, and or his dad used to run it now. His dad passed, so he runs it now. They actually just signed Mike Plume last year, and Mike Plume's an insanely talented songwriter. So it's going to be fun because it's not like he passed on it, but he was into other things at the time, and it's going to be fun when it releases and he realizes that, oh, I could have had that like 8 years ago. I love stuff like that. And yeah, so that's about it for Masterpiece. And then I'll do an Aaron Dean video right after this, probably, because that's I've got a cool thing that Shimmer did in that I want to show off.